James is with us in Chicago. Hi, James. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that I get to talk to both of you gentlemen. It's an honor.
Sure. How can we help?
Well, my wife and I have 4 kids. They are about 8, 5, 3, and 18 months. And we're trying to save up for our first home, and we're struggling to make progress with regards to a down payment that would get us within that 15-year mortgage, quarter take-home pay boundary for our first home purchase. And
Are you out of debt? Hello? James.
I'm here.
Are you out of debt?
Yes, we are out of debt completely.
Okay, and you have your emergency fund in place?
Yes, sir.
And your household income is what?
We clear about $6,200 a month after taxes on average.
Okay, all right. So did you pay off some debt already?
Yes, sir. We paid off about $110,000. We got completely out of debt.
How long did that take
you?
you?
COVID lockdown. About 5 years.
Okay, so you're saving at a rate of about $20,000 a year, or you were reducing debt at a rate of about $20,000 a year.
Yes, and part of that was selling off some cars and vehicles. We had some gifts that enabled us to clear some more debt, so it wasn't just our personal income that paid off and got us out of debt. But at this point, we can squeeze maximum $800 a month out of our budget.
You make $100,000 a year. And you can't find 10 grand. You're squeezing to get 10 grand. I'm really confused. Are you doing a written budget?
Yes, sir.
Every dollar has a name and both of you are agreeing to it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We've been doing it faithfully. That's how we got out of debt, and that's how we're living.
Where is all your money going then, since you know?
So we have a $2,000 rent payment, and then we had $550 a month for school. The rest of it is basic living expenses. We live in Illinois. So our gas is a little bit higher. We spend about $900 a month on groceries. Trying to think through what other perhaps out of the ordinary expenses we might have. But those are the main things. We have to spend about $400 a month on gas. We've got a minivan, and I drive a 4-cylinder. Yeah, that's more or less where we're at. We do a budget, and we're largely faithful to stick to it and adjust accordingly if something doesn't go right.
Okay. All right. And so overall, what's your question?
I need a little bit of direction on what I could do to increase my income without burning my family out. Like I said, we've got 4 little kids. My wife does work part-time. She's the director of worship at our church, and I just I don't know what I got to do to accelerate the.
What do you do for a living?
I own a window cleaning business. We do commercial and residential window cleaning.
Okay. And are you a one-man gang? You got some employees? How big is your operation?
I am a one-man band, and that's not the way it had always been. Because our expenses have gone up for our personal lives, I haven't felt that we could afford to hire an employee just yet to help lighten the load. And
yeah, but the issue for you is increasing your client base. That increases your revenue. So are you full? Are you maxed out as to what you can do as far as window cleaning?
Yeah, just about. I could maybe squeeze in another 5 hours, but I'm cranking out 50, 55 hours. And,
so you could do more if you had some help.
Yes, absolutely.
So the help would pay for itself. You're acting like help is a net cost. Employees, you should always make more on employees than they cost you. That's how business works.
Yes, that's correct. However, my concern is that if I hire somebody, for a temporary season, no less. I would take a substantial dip in my personal take-home pay because we're, like I said, we're living on a pretty tight budget.
Are you a seasonal business?
Sort of. About a third of our revenue is seasonal.
Well, then so here's the deal. Here's what I hear on you. I hear all these limitations. I hear roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and I don't see the roadblock. So let me give you a really practical example. If you are seasonal, I talk to people all the time that are killing it in seasonal businesses, and they hire seasonal help, and they pay them very, very well. And so I don't think that's a limitation. I think you're creating something in your head.
I mean, if you paid somebody $40,000 seasonally to help you, and you made another $100,000, that'd be okay.
Yeah. And then what can you do in the off season? That is
run the other 67% of the revenue.
Yeah. Plus, what utility can you bring to the table that's similar to cleaning windows, but it's a service that's not seasonal? You have skill and you have experience that can be leveraged to make more money in the off season. This is a function of you deciding how important this is and get after it.
I think the answer to your question, in other words, is to grow your business.
Yeah.
And you grow your top line revenue by growing the capacity of the business, and the only way to do that is to add some help. And that's why we call them help, because they help. And, you know, the quote, hired help thing, you know, there are people hired to help you. And you know, they're become part of your team. They become friends. It's a small business. It's a family business. It's a wonderful environment for someone. But, I mean, you could pay somebody pretty well out of the extra money that you're able to have come in because you were able to expand your capacity. I mean, if you could clean 40%, 30% more houses, windows, because you had one more person on your team and you were just that much faster because of that. I don't think you're going to get to 50% more, but you probably could get to 30 to 40% more. And so you move from a top line of 100K to a top line of 150 or whatever, and you pay the guy 30 or 40. I mean, it's doable.
Dave, I think there's a follow-up that I think a lot of our listeners would benefit from, and you can speak to this very uniquely. There is some fear that is really holding him back there, this idea that employees are so expensive, and the way you come at so many things on the show is, let's just look at the math. So for a small business person who feels like they're the chief everything officer and they can't grow because they can't afford to hire somebody, what's the math process they need to walk through, real math, and go, okay, how I can actually walk this out and see that it's not the big scary monster under the bed? What would you recommend they do?
Well, there's two kinds of team members you add. Ones that are fixed expense and save you money because they free you up. For instance, I hired a personal assistant years ago, which meant I didn't have to do all the documentation and all the other stuff, which meant I could be doing something that made money. So it increased my ability to make money because I didn't have to do some of the stuff. Okay, so I offloaded some things. The other type of person is a person who directly impacts revenue. That's the easiest one to hire.
That's right.
Because, you know, you're going to cost me X and you're going to make Y. And if you don't make Y, then you're not going to cost me X because I can't keep you. And so we're going to have the first guy I hired, Russ Carroll. We brought him in. He was here for 20 years. He's retired from here. He's a wonderful friend. I told Russ, I said, you know, he was going to do financial coaching, financial counseling. And I said, we need to get some financial counseling in here or your kids are going to be skinny. You know, this was the conversation we had, right? Yeah. And so we had, you know, because I can't pay you except we get more money in here to pay you with, dude, because there ain't no money here. I mean, we didn't have financial peace. We were teaching financial peace, but we didn't have financial peace, you know, and so that's the thing. And so we just had to work through that, and it worked out, obviously, because Russ was here for 20 years. But you're right, it is scary, but the easiest one to add is one that adds more revenue than they cost immediately.